This is a very spiritual mind and body type of a podcast you're listening to. It's Deep Balls with Brandon and Jonathan, the Hinman. And, today we're going to be talking about... Jonathan, first of all, what is mind and... put out all these incense. I don't need all these filling up the studio. Thank you for doing that with your toes. Mind, body, and spirit. Jonathan, what does that mean to you? Because to me... I'm going to tell you the truth. It means horse shit.
Yeah, I know, right? I was looking up some stuff. I have, rest assured, I know what I was going to say before I started looking stuff up, but I was just curious about it. And I was like, this is a bunch of horse shit, largely. However, I do think there's some validity to this whole idea. And for me, it's like, well, body... Okay, admittedly, I have no idea what the body is.
They are real. They do exist.
They say I've yet to see any proof of a body. But
that's an interesting one. We'll dig into that in a moment. But sorry, you were saying.
But yeah, like so body is your physical manifestation of yourself. It's all right here. Your mind is this. It's separate from your brain. Your brain is totally physical. That's your body, and your mind is. I kind of think of it as your state of mind. It's your identity. It's your feeling. Oh, it's part of your identity. But it's like your feeling. It's the part of you that like is susceptible to being hangry. That is susceptible to being irritable, angry, negative.
You might argue it's what some consider your soul.
You know what? I don't. I think that the spirit is really what people think the soul is, and I think of that as kind of a longer term. Either in or out of harmony with goodness. It's like the soul is sort of your added up, your accumulated mental state and a set of actions.
So sort of like I mean,
they're all parts of you. They're all you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure where certain parts end and certain parts begin. Like, where does my spirit end and my soul begin and my mind end and my brain? Like I could physically know where my brain is. I guess where is the Jonathan in the brain? I could cut you open. I'm going to see this tofu-like brain inside your head. But there's no. What part of you is you? What part of you can I put in my brain and then you're controlling me, or we're both controlling my body?
That's a good question, and we need that answer. What part of me can we put in your brain?
Or we can switch parts of our like which part of us is the little us that's driving the cockpit? You know what I'm saying? Because we're all just Megazords to some soul. I don't know if I'm going off topic, but the fact of the matter is I don't know what a soul or where your... Now, let's separate
You're getting deep, bro, and it's feeling good. Keep it going.
Well, of course. But mind, body, and spirit, right? Mind and body and spirit. So the body is the physical manifestation, which you were saying. There are theories that the human body doesn't exist. So what fucks people?
Spiritual dicks.
Right. I mean, what do you mean by that? This body doesn't exist. I was
kidding there.
Oh, okay. I thought that.
Sorry. Yeah. I was. That's maybe the part that I think I'm most familiar with. The
body.
It seems to be the most straightforward, but perhaps one of the more difficult ones to understand how to like the consequences of taking care of it. It's like I in a way I still don't know how to treat my body in a way that's very good for everything. You know what I mean? Like you can obsess over your body just as easily as you can like exist in harmony and balance.
I can't stand those kind of people who obsess. I have so many friends who obsess over their bodies. You know who we are friends with, and people who just, and there's nothing wrong.
Talking about me here, okay?
Yeah, okay. So, but it's like every time those people are around me, it's just like a mirror to myself and a reminder of like, oh, you could be taking care of your body like this person, Brandon. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not, because I'm not doing yoga at 6 a.m. every morning. But yeah, I do admire and appreciate people who can tend to their bodies religiously like that. Although I will say, I have never been healthier in my whole life. Like these last 2 or 3 years, I have been in tremendous health, and knock on wood, obviously. But it has felt, and I find that the only way that I can make a change for my health is to change my state of mind. My mindset and therefore my lifestyle. You can't change your lifestyle and not change your mindset, and you can't, you can change your mindset, but then there's probably going to be a ripple into your lifestyle somehow. They kind of affect each other.
Word.
And your lifestyle is largely what affects your body. My lifestyle is what makes me take my vitamins in the morning, makes me go to the gym, makes me eat healthier. Anyways, I
100%.
feel,
Yeah, they're all strangely linked. When you talk about one, you're talking about the whole. When you talk about the whole, you're talking about the 1, 2, and 3.
WHOLE is the kind of hole he's saying.
Thank you. Thank you.
But So what's the last one we were talking about earlier? It's spirit.
Yeah,
spirit. Now,
and I think you're right on with the idea that we're all Megazords of the same, or pieces of the same Megazord. I do think that your spirit is. We all kind of start the fact that you're an individual is part of the fractured whole, and the bigger you are, then the closer to oneness with the big truth, and the closer to godliness, one might say.
Wait, bigger, like physically bigger?
No, spiritually,
okay,
a big person is someone who is above the petty and someone who's in touch with the deep and the real.
Oh yes, those people are great. I usually either get along very well with those people. I think Paulette is one of she comes to mind in terms of someone who is just weighted down with, not weighted down, but just heavy with experiential value, and just has but
Paulette, in passing, will quickly be we'll just say some incredibly positive and straight to your soul stuff, and you look to the side and you're like, that's right. Thank you, Paulette.
Yeah, thank you.
100% correct on that.
And we sometimes need a little bit of that enlightenment from anyone who can give it. I mean, you can get it from a kid sometimes. Sometimes kids say profound things. Like, oh, wow, that feels good to my soul.
Paulette says great stuff.
I feel like Paulette is I don't know. She's a rare kind of friend to have. She really, because I can't say I've ever met anyone else like her, spiritually or mentally and spiritually. What are the difference between those? While I'm on this right now, is it mentally and mentally, you can feel things mentally. I can feel angry. That's a cognitive.
Yeah, this is a personal thing. This isn't Descartes or any standing philosophy, but I feel like mental is kind of it's in the moment. It's in the moment, and spiritual extends over a long period of time. The consequences of your spiritual identity is like a full story of where you've come from, what you've learned, and how you're growing in the direction you go. It's a large picture, whereas your mental health, even if you want to describe it in the long term, is still slivers of time.
I see what you mean. It's like the short-term shit.
It's what's my mental state right now? That's more about what the mind is than what the spirit is.
It's so funny how we're so moldable. It's like if we haven't eaten, then we become a different person. And you were talking about hangry, or oh my god, what a horrible state of mind to be in.
Yeah, and the mind is kind of physical. It's kind of like your body in that way because it comes from your brain. Your brain has a lot to do with your mind.
Oh my god! And what's crazy to me is that it's I will start thinking about the grandeur of how we are such capable and complicated machines, and we're these things that move around the planet, and we've learned how to fly and to think and feel and reproduce, and we are in touch with ourselves and with nature. And one day it's all going to burn and die, and Earth is going to be gone, and every one of these amazing conscious machines are going to be ash or in a black hole or some bullshit. And I hate it. It's just so demotivating. And it makes me feel about my work, what I do for a living, what's it matter? I'm going to go in a black hole, and my videos are all going to go black hole, and all the people watching them are going to die. And that's, yes, sorry, but going back to my body.
That's true. Everyone is going to die.
Oh my God. And I hate it. It's it's God damn it. Fuck me. And there's this belief, and I don't know if this is a belief or a theory or where I've heard it, or maybe I'm just pulling it out of my ass, but I think we should talk about it.
Okay.
That when you die, your energy or maybe I got it from Tron. I think I watched it on Tron. But it has a lot of religious and spiritual undertones, both movies, and so I think it's still a valid point that when you die, your energy just gets sucked back into the grid, back into the world. Your energy sort of goes back into nature. And, they say energy can't be created or destroyed, right?
Right. It can only be transformed into mass.
So I get crushed by an airplane goes into. I'm driving home, and I'm the only car on the freeway because I don't know why this is such an elaborate story. I die instantly. Instantly, I'm crushed. So there's no like my skull isn't intact and my ribs aren't for like my soul to be bouncing around. No, my soul's immediately evicted.
Evicted.
Where does that energy go? My body is paste.
Right. What's the extra energy like on top of what the chemical?
Where did my energy go? You can't destroy energy, so where is my energy going? I am dead under a jet turbine, and I am the consistency of Colgate.
Right. It's a good question. To be honest, I don't totally know.
I need you to know this, John.
I know, but I'm not sure that there's any extra energy like in the soul beyond just the potential of these atoms and molecules and the rules of physics to begin with.
God damn it! It's so vastly mysterious.
It is
how how things work and why we're all here. Why is it? This cannot just all be a coincidence that are just that bodies that are attracted to one another so they could reproduce, and plants that know what to do, and animals that know what to eat and how to fuck, and they don't even know how to say words, and we know how to say words and write poetry and create libraries that are built out of. It's like, what is this? I mean, our souls and our bodies and minds can't all just be a coincidence that we're all just here to perceive and enjoy and experience life with each other and then just die and fizzle out, and that's that.
Why not?
Because what a waste. What a waste. I died tomorrow, and what the fuck was up?
I know. No, you're getting at something really interesting here. This is like the most sober, stoned conversation I've ever had. but yeah, it's like, what is the point of life? And of course, no one knows, and anyone who tells you that they know is a fucking liar.
I hate that we all know who's going to die.
Yeah,
and that's
everyone. 100%. But when you like, if you zoom out a little bit and you kind of think like, actually, Joe Rogan once was talking about DMT, and this kind of changed my life. So this is not to totally rip everything, but if you also, okay, this is random, but the book The Naked Ape by Desmond Morris is a zoologist, and it was written a while ago. Just where it studies the humans as if they're just an ape, and just like observes their behavior like a zoologist would.
Okay.
And they're also a bit of a sociologist and anthropologist. Anyway,
yeah.
The point is, you kind of like zoom out on this picture. It's like, what the fuck is all life doing here? Life is just like, it's diversifying and it's replicating, diversifying and replicating, and everything's prerogative is just to spread life. That's what every form of life does, is propagate itself.
We're mold. We're roaches.
Correct.
We are, exactly.
We're no different than bacteria, where it's just like, what do they do? Is they just consume and they expand and they expand.
Why do stars, Milky, whatever the fuck?
Right. What's the point of it all? You just get, if we spread to other galaxies and then we spread to another universe, we just interact. And that's the thing too, is like, you're just interacting with these other particles. It's not even about consumption.
Right.
Maybe you're just interacting. You just change.
There is, as in nature, there is zero beginning and zero end to anything. There's zero beginning and zero end. Like you can't name anything in nature that has a beginning, because there's always something that prequels it. And I feel like overall, like everything in nature, you could say the same for any scale of it. And I feel like if you were to look at the overall existence and hindsight of not just humans, but animal, any living thing on this planet, you can't possibly say where anything starts and ends. Oh, guys, I'm starting to sound like sometimes I listen to AM radio, just because. Hear me out. Sometimes I will like to eat lunch in my car and listen to AM radio, because a lot of it are just really passionate people who are probably in like a garage or basement somewhere. You know what I mean? Who are broadcasting opinions that they've either developed from being so disconnected from the world or whatever, but they're opinions I don't usually agree with, and which are the opinions I love to listen to. I love to listen to the opposing side of any.
That's big of you.
It's not big of me. Ever since I was a kid, like when I would be channel surfing, I would stop on the really bad soap operas because I just admired. Obviously, it's horrible. It's horrible. The Spanish ones, I couldn't understand what they were saying, but I would stop. The same reason I stop and listen to AM radio, and I sound like one of these crazy motherfuckers who just gets so... But the thing is, I do feel like I am curious to know. These are questions I've had burning inside of my mind.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I was walking from the weed store, and I was thinking to myself, dogs are no different than us. And when I was a kid, I firmly believed dogs didn't go anywhere when they died. And then I just had this epiphany where I'm like, I for sure am not going anywhere. And then, because I'm no different than that piece of meat that is sitting in a jar of ashes on my mom's mantle right now. Which she tried tossing out, by the way.
What?
She said, pick up your old dog or I'm tossing him out. I said, you're not going to toss him out. She forgot. It's still there. But what the fuck, Mom? Anyways.
Yeah. It's not very good for the spirit to threaten that. Threaten to throw away your kid's dog's ashes.
So, yes, that's the very horrible, damaging to my spirit. My spirit is, John, do you ever feel spiritual? What does that mean, spiritual versus religious? Or
Yeah, I mean, religion is... I think all religions are, at least on paper, in pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, and that's, I think, a oneness with truth and the way, the path, the light. I think all that is pretty legit, actually. Where it's like, for instance, I think that treating people with respect, just very generally, treating people with compassion is a good thing. I think it's virtuous. It's not a bad thing for anyone to do.
Right.
And one of the reasons it's like so purely good is that you can apply it utilitarianly. If everyone does it, it's good. Like, there's no negative consequence to it. So that's part of what the idea of virtue is. Anyway, I think that spiritual enlightenment is about pursuing all those kinds of truths. And I think that religion is like an organized way of understanding that pursuit and kind of manifesting the rule set for you and your direct, like, on the earth path to it, which, of course, as interpreted by humans, is where we go wrong.
Right. Well, it sounds like every religion seems to share a common, according to what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, they seem to sort out or formulate a set of rules based off of the ethics of good or bad perceived by that particular culture.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that is to admit that there are agreed upon forces of good and bad in this universe.
Not necessarily agreed upon, but that they exist, may be agreed upon. Yeah.
It is agreed upon that forces of
Right.
So what I'm and again, this is a thought that I had semi recently, like within the last week.
All right, let's hit it.
I was thinking to myself, is there such a thing as good and bad? Universally good and bad. Is there such a thing? Does nature itself recognize, does our universe recognize positive and negative? And I thought to myself, like our bodies are built to know when they're being hurt and to know when they're doing what they're supposed to. It feels good to eat and take a shit and to ejaculate because we're supposed to be doing, our body, and it feels bad to, get mauled, or it feels bad to get bitten by something because we're not supposed to be. So it's like our nature, our bodies, nature itself does exhibit positive, negative. It plays with that. So I wondered if there is such a realm of spirituality, if this isn't all just a coincidence and there's a greater being, does that realm also acknowledge morality in that sense? Because we've been given the spirit of behavior. We've been given the ability to make choices, unlike most animals or living creatures that strictly seem to lemmingly follow a set of nature built within their mind. We seem to operate more on our own unique choice, whether or not to be a part of society or think for ourselves, be good or evil. And I don't think that good and evil is strictly constructed by humans. I think that there is, like we said, forces of good or bad in the universe. So spiritually, what do you think? Do you think that...
Right. Does good and evil exist outside the human mind?
Exactly. Or good or bad. And I don't know. I've always wondered that. I've always wondered, like, if there is an afterlife and we are judged on something, are we judged on anything good or bad? Because in nature, it's very easy to feel like there's no such thing as good or bad. You look at the Amazon and you look at,
And you're not like, that tiger is evil because it ate that antelope.
Right. It was acting according to its nature. The antelope was acting according to its nature. Everything in nature seems to be acting in according to our nature. So why do we seem to plague ourselves with the burdens of good and bad, punishment and reward, and why all this stuff, when everything in nature we accept as just being nature. If we're corrupt and, and shitty pieces of shit, isn't that our nature?
Right. And is it like, well, that's just because we're a social animal. Just we're more like an ant colony than we are a tiger. So, like if we could, we'd just be the biggest tiger out there and kill all other tigers that were competing for resources. But are we instead more like an ant, where it's like, well, no, for the good of the colony, more of us, yay, more of us.
Mm-hmm. I think there's definitely
which is quote better unquote.
I think
is that part of it for you too.
There's definitely I've always felt like there's forces of good and bad out there. Mm-hmm. I've always felt like, I don't know, like a good intention goes so much further than just, someone did something. Or, a good deed almost feels spiritual sometimes. Like, you ever had someone help you when you're in dire need, and it's like that favor was like not just life-saving, but like it touched me, like that was there has to be some kind of a positive energy there. If there is such a thing as energy, which everyone these days is believing in, and if it's a thing, great. I'm agnostic to it, but if energy is good or bad exist, then yeah, positive and negative, that has to be it.
And I believe in energy.
I do too. I like at least the placebo effect of it. I feel it at least.
Like it's a very physical, very real thing. Like it's here on Earth. Yeah, it's not like, there's the energy. It's flowing right between us. Can't you feel that? Like, no, not necessarily.
That freaks me out when people say shit like that. I don't need that.
People take it too far, in my opinion.
Especially in LA.
But I feel an interaction. There's an energy in the room. Like, it got awkward. That's an energy.
It is an energy, and we're all breathing it now.
Yeah. It's farty.
It's
energy.
Farty.
Fact.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. My favorite kind of energy, and I know this is a little off topic, but I just want to talk about energies really quick.
Okay.
Right, this is the closest I feel like this podcast is going to get to energy chat.
Been saving this, and it's going to
one of my favorite energies I've ever experienced was just when you're a kid. Or not even a kid, as an adult, when you just got friends or family or both over, and it's Christmas time, it's freezing outside, but on the inside it's toasty as shit, and you got all kinds of shit in that oven, in and out. The oven's like a revolving door, sweet, savory, and you got shit bubbling on the stove. You got people listening to music, drinking wine. There's an energy in that room.
PlayStation game.
Oh my god! Or what about like when you ever gone camping? Yeah, PlayStation's it's great. Yeah, but camping. You ever been around a campfire with people, especially people you're attracted to? Oh my god, there's an energy there.
It's raw. It's primal.
Their energies do exist, and at least I like to think they do. I don't know whether or not energy exists. I think forces of good and bad are certainly very real. And that's what scares me, because if we're acknowledging that forces of good or bad exist in this universe, then the spirits or beings that exist beyond this dimension, in the fourth, fifth, whatever dimension you could think of, must also then, it would imply, abide by these forces of good, which means that there are evil beings that are so much more powerful than you and I. And they could be listening to this right now.
If they wanted to, yeah.
If they wanted to.
Yeah. And they're called NSA.
This is probably the most scared any of my fans are ever going to hear me in the moment. This is terrifying me, and not because I'm high, but because, I don't know, it's just, I've always been scared I'm terrified of pissing off people who are stronger than me. I like to think.
Oh, wow, that's such a real thing to say. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But like, that word, like, that's.
I like to think that if there are ghosts,
those are bullies, Brandon. Those are bullies.
If there are spirits that haunt my apartment, I like to think that they find me funny and that I've won them over.
Right.
I like to think that they watch me while I'm editing the videos and they get a kick out of it. And then when I watch Netflix, that they think that what I watch is also entertaining. And I just like to think that I win them over somehow.
Right. And then when you're like looking for your keys, they're like, oh, okay, we'll scooch them over. And
sometimes, but I don't want to get...
And more that they hurt your enemies.
I don't want to get far-fetched here or anything, but like, yeah.
But I'll take general amusement of those at my antics.
I hope, I would kill to have the ghost of a maid haunt my house. Like,
that's so funny.
That would be amazing. You just walk around like, oh, I don't remember cleaning this up. That's nice.
Like, where's that ring?
Where's that? Yeah, right. I get angry because she didn't do her job one day. I get home drunk. I throw a glass. Oh no, yeah. What was I going to say? Spirit. So we covered the body. We covered the mind, and we kind of trickled over spirit. Well, who are types of people who seem to be most in touch with mind, body, and spirit? I can't think. And mind you, not drugs.
Right. Yeah.
What kind of a person would you say? Maybe someone at Venice Beach, or
you know who I immediately think of are just like good parents.
Yeah.
However lame that is, just like good, nice, loving parents are probably just like, that's probably the most real, like balanced version of any of that you get.
You ever been in like a real loving household where the parents are super? When I go to my friend's house, like
I've had a few friends. I'm just like, what the fuck?
You know what? The parents that come to mind when you talk about mind, body, spirit, like you're talking about parents that are like fulfilled in all three departments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My ex back home in Livermore, his parents, they lived in a nice house in the vineyard section of Livermore, which is where all the rich people live. It's like neighborhoods in the vineyards. And they had the big house, a white couple. They had they both had nice jobs. And they were nice people. I'm not trying to like downplay them by like talking them up. Mm-hmm. They were very, very kind people, and they seemed to be well educated and just everything. They just seemed fulfilled in every aspect. And I remember thinking, because they went to church, they worked out every day. Yeah, they were tending to their mind, their body, and I felt like they got spiritual fulfillment from or at least mental fulfillment from just being a happy family all the time. I mean, now that could be they could be all dead now by murdering each other. I don't know.
What sounds like a facade.
But the fact of the matter is, like, I admired and even almost envied that they seemed like they were fulfilled on all fronts. And that if you can find a life now, they just happen to have money, but that doesn't mean that you need money to be that way. Because I also know people, they're just an example. I've met people who have no money and are equally just as fulfilled. Like I was friends in elementary school. Tons of we were talking, I think last time, Latchkey Kids. Was that you I was talking with?
Yeah,
Latchkey Kids. Was that on this podcast?
Wait, we have talked about Latchkey Kids a bit.
Yeah, the kids who just do whatever the fuck they want after school. Yeah, I think that was this podcast.
They're in trouble.
Anyway, I was friends with a lot of them growing up, and they would like live in the kind of backyards that had like broken down campers. And in my mind, as a kid, you don't have any kind of socioeconomic point of view. You just think, wow, they got a trailer in their backyard, right. Cool. And like I remember, the kids also felt like that too, and the parents. They were the kind of parents who just didn't need a lot to be happy. They were just happy grilling and drinking beers in the backyard with the neighbors' parents, And there was all kind of people who were just sort of. And I remember. Like my parents were kind of, oh God, fuck! I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot by saying
shit on your parents.
But no. They were kind of like those kids. My parents made substantially more than those kids' parents did. But in my mind, I didn't like everyone's parents just makes money. There's no higher or lower. Everyone's just they make money.
It's all much more than I make as a child.
Right. It doesn't matter. So, but my parents were a bit more well off than those kids that I thought were living such great, fulfilling lives in their backyards, like in their pools. Like they were getting the cheap thrills of life, watching Dragon Ball Z. They would quote it with each other, and I was like, I want to be a part of that, and I would be. But then at the end of the day, I'd have to go home to my parents because I had a curfew, and and those kids just got to stay out all night with each other in their backyards. And I remember thinking, even back then as a child, having this concept of like, they have it all. Like they really did. And in a way, they kind of did. And anyone in any point in their life where they have that kind of, whether it's the wealthy family I described before them or, these kids that I'm talking about now, I don't know. There are people that I've met from both sides of the spectrum who have it all, so to speak. Like, yeah, I feel like they almost know the secret of life without even realizing it, And
what is that?
Just happiness. Happiness is the number one thing.
Yeah, it's like happiness and love it's a huge part of it. It's like like if you find an abundance of love, then I guarantee you a harmony and balance between mind, body, and spirit is nearby. It's like pretty close. Like,
I feel like
things are going right over there in that section.
It's weird. I feel like we're all just perceivers on this planet. We're all just perceiver, and we're all just here to take in things that make us feel and think different ways. And it's almost like it's our job to make sure that those are the most pleasant of experiences we can maintain throughout our existence. Why or else are we drawn? We're always drawn to what feels good or is nice to do or say or spend time.
No, it's true. It's true. It kind of makes me think too of like how you have to take care of yourself and live your happy like pleasant life, but you also have there's like a deeper version of that where it's like you also have some kind of obligation to help others have those pleasantries. Like, oh, it's like this makes me happy going to see a movie, but like who has no shot at any kind of happiness like this? The person without a house or drinkable water,
right?
What? So what obligation do I have to help them? Just start there.
Wow, happiness is such a different state of mind to different people.
Yeah, it's pretty relative.
Yeah. I think that my opinion is that as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else, happiness is fair game. However you want to.
Yeah. Honestly, like that's asking a lot.
It is. It is asking a lot because
it's fucked up, but it is.
Yeah, like I'm already thinking of like 10 things I love to do that hurts me or other people.
My favorite person to hurt is me, for sure.
Definitely me. Yeah. It's not a good time unless I don't want to do it anymore. But yeah, I you know what I will say? I do think that living in a city is I've lived half my life, like a third of my life I've lived in a city, and 2/3 of my life I lived in a small town. And I think that there's perks to both, but I feel like in a city, I feel like it's a lot easier to cleanse and what's the word I'm looking for? To fertilize your mind, body, and spirit. I think it's easier to do that in a city, living in a city.
Really?
I think so. I mean, for me at least, the way that
I would think everyone's different. Like, I would think thrive in different places.
Everyone thrives in different places. Some people like to live in the snow in the middle of nowhere. Why? I'm sure I have no clue, but
Brandon's old Southern grandma in the snow.
But I don't know. Some people like that. For me, I think it's easier to find spiritual, physical, and mental fulfillment in the city because everyone else is trying to find it too. And so it just is like I feel like everyone else is losing their shit out here. Most people I talk to, they're on the verge of a breakdown. I go to a party. I'm not even kidding.
I can thrive on that.
When I go to a party, when I go to a bar, and I meet people and talk to them, I want to say like 1 out of every 4 people I like meet at a place is like ready to just pack their bags and call it quits and just like they're fucking done with. But I mean, they won't make it sound like that. But they're like, yeah, you know how it is. Just you got to do the 50 hours a week, and then you got the 2 kids. But I'll be an actor. And it's like, oh, like, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, how are you smiling right now? Like, I could tell it's like you're like forced because you probably haven't gotten any sleep, and I don't know. Anyway, I feel like here in the city, there's a lot of people who are, I don't know, like I've made a lot of friends at the gym. I've made a lot of friends at Runyon Canada. I've made a lot of friends just in the pursuit of a better state of mind or happiness, here in the city. And I feel like a lot of people just, there's not much you can have control over here in LA other than your own mind, body, and spirit. And I feel like I've met a lot of people who are really good at doing that. I've met a lot of people who are good at staying physically healthy, mentally healthy. And I wouldn't have met them if I was still living back home. I would have surrounded myself, with the same experiences over and over and over. Because my whole life until I was 23, I believe, I lived pretty much in the same area, and I had the same way of thinking, living, behaving. And so I feel like mentally, spiritually, and physically, I would be the same exact person today if I was still living there. Mm-hmm. And that's scary.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like LA, kind of the main industry is entertainment. People have developed a response to what that does to to the mind, body, spirit, and that's why it can be this culture of health in that regard.
Yeah.
And then you meet so many people who are also pursuing that, and it's helpful to your journey. And
Yeah, it is a culture of health, isn't it? I get the same sense, and I don't know New York very well, but I get the same sense that places like New York and definitely San Francisco is a bit more health conscious. I feel like more of the metropolitan areas, you are exposed to people, health more like fucking. When we were on tour, we would some places we'd have to drive from city to city, so we're crossing a lot of just really open, middle of nowhere places in this country, and like the menu, like it was impossible to eat healthy out there. Impossible. Like, and you almost had to go to like a grocery store and get like eggs.
Right.
It's like
Right.
what is, everything's covered. And so,
isn't it so crazy that like that's most of America?
and not only that, but everyone in most of those places had a pretty uniform way of thinking and feeling about certain things. Like people had a very like here in LA, you could walk down the street and like the first 10 people you see will probably all disagree with each other on something substantial, like everyone here has, if you don't like that person, great. There's like 50 other people right around the corner who have different ways of thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, there's no general sense of how we all think in LA. It's very diverse. And
There's so many, they just mix it all together.
Right. And so I feel like for me, like, and going back to why I think LA or just the city is a great place for my mind, body, and spirit. It's just, if there's, I've been able to curate in a way, like the exact kind of people I want to surround myself with, people who are healthy for my mind, body, and spirit. And that's why, I only see you every now and then for this podcast. I'm serious though. Like I know so many quality people out here that, it's like, and from all over the world too. You meet people from all over the world, so you're getting, I
mean, that's the beauty of diversity. Like it's like with diversity, if everything's changing and things are different, then things are interesting.
Yeah. And mind you, I'm not trying to say that to live in a city is better. And I know it sounds like clearly I'm only saying like pros from one and cons from the other. But I just want to say,
very much for you,
right? Well, I just want to say I've lived here for almost 7 years, and it wasn't until about a year, maybe 2 years ago, that I've started feeling this way about living in a city. Because I've always kind of missed at heart living in a small town. I miss the safety of it, but the more I'm in control of my fate, or the more that I'm in control of sort of my work or whatever, the less I'm afraid of the city. And I think that's a big reason why I've liked living here so much. I feel like, because I'm no longer treading water like I used to be. I feel like once you get in a groove here, not to say that like you should be totally set off and comfortable at all, but I think that once you do get a rhythm in a new city, when you move there, you do find ways to amplify your mind, body, and spirit in the best way possible. But I will say, like, those first, 4 years of living here, 5 years, I missed just the safety of a small. I missed like just even how quiet it was, and just, like I can go and do anything I want, film any video I wanted, and
that's where you were raised, and that's where all your support systems are. And like,
so it took me, it took me a long time to kind of let go of all of that. And you know what it was actually, and I know I'm digressing, but I just have to say, what it was this last Christmas. The umbilical cord was kind of severed mentally. Like when I went home, for some reason, I visit home every Christmas or every Thanksgiving. And this last year when I went home, something about it.
I'm a big boy now.
I don't know. It didn't feel like home. It was weird. It felt like I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was. So much has changed since I've moved away from that.
I feel
town.
Also like 7 years is some threshold for that. Where it's like every 7 years, and it's like places like generally become very noticeably different.
Yeah, exactly. So going back home, I kind of started feeling this last visit. Like I love my family to death, but
I will kill them.
I will kill all of them. No, but I don't know. It was the first time that I felt like, I love my family, but I don't want to be here anymore. Like I want to go back. And I left. I want to say I left a day early because I wanted to get home. Not because I was there for like a week. But I left a day, because I had visited everyone. I had nothing to do. I was just kind of sitting at my mom's house doing nothing. I was like, I'm going to go back to LA. And just on the way, just driving back to LA, I was so eager to get back to my desk. At the time, I was just starting to conceptualize Blame the Hero.
Right.
And so I was like, I was like having this new series about blame on my mind, and I just wanted to get to work. I missed my friends. I missed Logan, and you and Rachel were in Paris, I believe, at the time.
Yeah, but you missed us too. So that's nice.
No, I missed everyone, and so it was. I don't know. I think, and what's weird is that ever since I've been back, I haven't. In the back of my mind, I kind of always want to visit home, and I miss, like I said, I miss my family. But this is the first time I've been feeling fulfilled in a way where it's like, this is my home now, and everything that keeps my mind, body, and spirit alive and healthy is right here. My friends are right here. My gym is right here, and I don't.
And my guru is expensive, but he's here.
My guru is expensive. I know. My shaman.
They're all here.
Oh my god. Anyway, Jonathan, how do you feel? Like, I mean, I have to say, for those of you who don't know, Jonathan's body is much stronger than mine. He can.
Thank you.
He
I can deadlift twice.
Yeah.
A normal child.
Yeah, he actually made Sammy Guevara beg for mercy at an arm wrestling competition last time.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy about it, but
definitely happened.
But no,
I try to stay healthy in all these areas.
Yeah.
There's so many. Just juggling them.
And it sucks. So it's like we go through life, and there's it's like it's hard enough to take care of the fucking body. Because the body, and I posted this on. I said this,
and no one is there's no metric, there's no test. You can't check that. You literally don't know.
The human, of course, yeah. There's no gauge other than your feelings.
Right.
The human body is one of the greatest machines. I was on Twitter. I was talking about the human body and just how wonderful it is. It's like. Never let anyone make you feel bad for something about your body, because your body is something that our society that has found cures to diseases and has traveled to space, that society still cannot replicate what you are living inside. Even when you sleep at night, you are still the world's greatest machine. And so keeping that healthy and ticking like just a well-oiled fucking engine is hard enough. Let alone the mind inside and the spirit of the driver. And so, if you can manage your mind, body, and spirit successfully, always be aware of that and never let that go, because you have accomplished most of what life is about. Now you just got to enjoy it with the positive mindset, hopefully you have on your shoulders. Jonathan,
word, dude.
I can only hope to be as enlightened as you, and I know you can only hope to be as enlightened as me.
Perfect.
Yes. I thank you for talking about such a very, very unknown subject with me. I feel like I was bullshitting a lot. I feel a lot like a politician during this podcast.
Talking about this, and for most of it, like you can't say anything without being like, "Wow, I don't know so much." There's so much that I don't know. These are tiny thoughts in a giant vacuum of unknowing.
Right, exactly. And part of the reason why I liked this topic so much when we were talking about what we were going to talk about was that I know nothing about it. And it's like, oh, sure, fuck it, let's talk about it. I don't nothing about mind, body, spirit, really. A lot of what I said, guys, is bullshit.
Right.
But
and my thoughts are baby thoughts. Like all these thoughts are baby thoughts.
I know. Jesus Christ. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, I hope that you gained some sort of something from this podcast, and I hope that your body feels good, your mind feels even better, and your spirit is in a prime state of being and continues to evolve as you grow older, and your exponential value blasts through all the glass ceilings above your head. Jonathan, do you have any closing thoughts?
I think you've summarized our hopes well.
All right.
I can only echo them.
All right.
In a baby voice.
Until next time, mind your body, a little spirit when you can.